A year ago, I made this bingo board to track any sort of discourse, controversy, mess, drama, what have you, in the world of online bookish spaces. So let's go through everything I was able to check off for the board for this year and then get into what my predictions are, what my expectations are, what I'm manifesting for next year. I don't remember the order in which I checked these off, but I know that I got two bingos, making a really pleasing X across the board. We're just gonna go in order of like Rose. Dramini. This was a really big year for Dramini. Three major pieces of Dramini fanfiction were traditionally published, and so anytime there was any sort of controversy or discourse regarding these books or regarding the Dramini fandom at large, this made it on. And I expected it to be a lot, which is why I put the three baby boxes. There were conversations about AI usage in the alchemized book cover. There was all this thing about like Dramini fanfiction and how it supports JK Rowling. People said that it's like totally far removed from JK Rowling, and then people pulling up the like advertising that was being sent by publishers to bookstores that specifically connect these books to Dramini appeal to the Harry Potter IP, and also a lot of discourse about whether or not these are even good. Book review lawsuit. This wasn't something that happened on Book Talk. This was something that I saw happen on BookTube. There's a creator on here on BookTube, Biblio Obscura, who posted multiple YouTube videos talking about this insane interaction that came about a negative or critical review and all of this weird back and forth and threats of a lawsuit from this author and their team. I think to make matters worse, it was like a 2 or 3 star review, so it wasn't even like the worst, lowest of the low marked review. But she tackles like multiple email correspondence and had to script her videos in a very specific way to make absolute sure that she was covering her tracks and being careful into more legal trouble with this author and their team. I'll tag her videos if you're interested in going into any of that in depth. Then checked off on that row is surprise conservative. Sophie Lark got into controversy a few months ago regarding a new release that had characters making disparaging comments about undocumented immigrants and praising Elon Musk. And her explanation and like apology talked about how when she wrote the book, it was like a different time essentially, even though she wrote the book summer of 2024. What really got people and myself was like after this shitty non-apology, her Facebook group featured a bunch of people in her comment section talking about how she shouldn't even have to apologize. Why should she show respect to like immigrants that don't respect the laws of this land? Da 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 da. A lot of angry comments like from Trump supporters who were showing support to her that she was liking and positively engaging with, being the final nail in the coffin for most people. I'm gonna be honest, with the author tantrum over reviews box, I can't think of which 3 specific interactions happened for me to cross off this entire box, because there's also just been so many. There's always so many. On nearly a monthly or bi-monthly basis, an author will receive a negative review for their book and will lose their shit. So this can honestly be about literally anything. Then Sunrise on the Reaping was released, and there were a lot of conversations surrounding it, especially because it released so closely with the casting announcement for the film adaptation. I'm looking back at my post for the year. I don't know why people are shooting fireworks already. It is 4 p.m. I know that it's New Year's Eve and like it's only gonna get worse as the night goes on. That's expected. I just don't understand the appeal of fireworks in the daytime. It was a waste of a firework and now I'm agitated. But all of the author tantrum moments got checked off in January, and that's why I don't remember anything. But the 3 to do it were author R. Crow, who got a 1-star review on her book from someone she already has beef with, and then took a photo of that Goodreads review and then posted to her social media and completely spiraled out of control. Then author Elise Black posted a multi-part situation on Threads talking about the age-old ARC review discourse, saying that if you are an ARC reviewer, you should withhold any review that is 3 stars or below until after release date. And then yeah, the other author tantrum review baby box was for the Biblio Obscura situation. That was like a double whammy. Now onto the plagiarism box. All 3 plagiarism baby boxes were checked off. One of them was checked off because of discourse surrounding Chuck Wendig, who people already hated because of like a situation that happened years prior with him calling the Internet Archive a plagiarism website. He had announced his like new release that I think has been released already. It was like A Staircase in the Woods, The Staircase in the Woods, and people accusing him of plagiarizing a really popular creepypasta. And it being like this whole ironic conversation of like, you called this other thing a plagiarism site, but you're plagiarizing this thing. I don't actually know if he plagiarized. I don't know how like niche that idea is of stumbling across a staircase in the woods. Then discourse resurfaced regarding the Crave series and all of that stuff with the plagiarism accusations. Then the last plagiarism box that got checked off was tied into a different situation that managed to check off two other boxes. The entire controversy and legal issue regarding Daddy's Little Toy, which is also the reason why there was really awful overlap between true crime and book talk. And one of my biggest pet peeves whenever someone is critical of dark subject matter and like the way certain things are handled and depicted, saying it's supposed to be dark as a shield against criticism. Daddy's Little Toy, for those of you who didn't hear, is a book that was going to be released or was newly released towards the beginning of this year from like an Australian author. And it was already advertised as being this taboo, dark, age gap romance between this very young woman who is like barely legal and this man who has known her since she was a baby. She was legally accused of creating child sexual abuse material because in Australia, this also includes fictional characters. Since in her book, the man in this relationship, the older man, expresses very clearly and explicitly that he had sexual desires towards this young girl long before she was of legal age. And there were a lot of conversations surrounding like this being a grooming book. Also in the book, they do infant role play where the girl role plays like a baby for sexual gratification with this man who has been attracted to her since she was a child. I'm actually not sure where that ended up. I know she had to like go to court about it, but I don't actually, hold on. It seems like she's still fighting the charges. Her name is Lauren Ashley Mastrosa, but her pen name for this book is Tori Woods. And it seems that the police officer tasked with reading the book to see what material was actually inside of it is testifying that it contains parts depicting offensive content with someone implied to be a child. So I guess this hearing is going to continue on into 2026. And so this tied into the plagiarism because once people like learned who she was and all of this stuff, people were bringing up plagiarism accusations for a different book from years prior. Threads Bullshit was the free space, and I didn't realize just how easy this was going to be to check off. Like, I knew it was going to be checked off within the first week of January. I checked off Threads Bullshit 10 minutes after opening my eyes, waking up on January 1st. Because of discourse I personally was involved in on Threads. At the end of last year, a creator went on Threads talking about dropping a 50-page document that teaches people how to request an ARC. I made a post saying that it is not serious or complicated enough to require 50 pages of material. I didn't even speak directly to the creator. I just like made a separate comment independently. On January 1st, I woke up to a notification of the creator responding back to me, calling me mean. And this sent many of her followers to like jump down my throat. She released the document and I ended up like downloading and reading it because you had to like be signed up for something. It was ridiculous, to be honest. And I was right. There's nothing about the ARC requesting process that required 50 pages worth of educational material because like, I don't know, 45 of the 50 pages or something like that. Like the vast majority of these pages were just like aesthetically pleasing photos, get to know me pages, selfies, a table of contents. There were probably like 4 or 5 pages dedicated to like actually useful material that like tells you different routes to get ARCs and example emails of like how to write an ARC request. So I was right. It didn't require 50 pages because that wasn't even a document. I'm like, what? That whole back and forth was asinine, to say the least. Then there was a cartoonish book event fail because there are so many that happen within a year. This particular box was checked off because of the Fantastique Starfall Ball, which is also the reason why I was able to check off one of the SJM fandom boxes because these were overlap. Like Starfall Ball is directly referencing ACOTAR. There were swagless swag bags. Things were overpriced. And it's like one of those things that truly highlights just how difficult event planning is because so many of these book events fall through because people think event planning, especially on a large scale with so much money involved, is so much easier than it actually is. I keep getting a lot of details regarding Fantastique Starfall Ball confused with A Million Lives Book Festival, commonly referred to as A Million Lies, because that one was the one where there was like the speaker that was given to them by the security guard who felt bad in a fully lit cafeteria style room. This was also the year that I got really fixated on AI bookfluencers. This is mainly a thing that is popping up on Bookstagram. It's like increasingly more common for authors to receive a DM from a bookfluencer who seems like super normal at first glance, being like, hey, I read your book, I'd love to do a book review, is that okay? And the author being like, yeah, of course, I love book reviews. And this reviewer going, okay, great, I charge $35 for this, this, and this. And then the authors are usually like, hey, no, I'm not gonna pay you for a positive book review. Also, if you have undisclosed paid ads and partnerships, I'm reporting you to the FTC. And there's one interaction in particular that like threw off an author that had piqued my interest, where they had said like, no, this is illegal, I'm going to report you. And it was an automated response being like, great, would you like to move forward? And then I did a deep dive. It was like, what was her name? It was like Reed Sophia Reed's profile picture is a Victoria's Secret angel. So this was always like a false identity to begin with. But I looked through how frequently she was posting these book reviews, and I think like at one point she had posted like 90 reviews within a single day. So it was like a fully just like automated account that I think really just exists to scam indie authors out of their money. And I've seen more and more screenshots like this with like that exact script that I'd seen in the initial Reed Sophia conversation. Other things that happened with the Sarah J. Maas fandom, the ACOTAR TV show was officially canceled by Hulu. It's not in the works anymore. It will never see the light of day. I want to know about never, but I hope never. In a recent release, I think from this past year by Abby Jimenez, she was using the description of Rysand from ACOTAR to describe the male love interest in this book. And people were really upset because they were like, keep that thing, put that thing back where it came from, or so help me. But also, like, there were a lot of conversations surrounding whether or not it was lazy to use a different book's character as your description, because it completely removes responsibility from you to do the work in writing an actual description, and this only works if you know who's being referenced. Trump and Elon Musk fanfiction did get published this year. Allegedly. There's a book titled Best Daddy. It is indie published, before anyone gets into my comment section being like, they'll publish anything these days. How do these things get published? I guess I can be an author too. People always say that. It's okay. I'm actually gonna go on this tangent because this will be on the 2026 board in a moment. That is one of my biggest pet peeves ever when reviewing like weird, bizarre, like sentient object, like wildcard romance, whatever, out of like Kindle Unlimited, and people being like, well, this can get published, I can get published. And it's like, yeah, because you do it yourself. I had to get that out of my system, even though I will be revisiting. In Best Daddy, US President Mickey Toot is very upset about the billionaires that are being murdered in the streets. He's blaming the immigrants, even though immigrants are not involved. And we see a very intimate moment between him and his dom billionaire icon Sachs. It takes place like in the Oval Office. It's a lot. Frankenstein 2025 release, and there were a lot of conversations I was participating in regarding that film's release and like how it functions as an adaptation. What are our thoughts on the original novel, which also tied into monster morality discourse, which I also figured would happen, which is why I put them so close together on the board. Overconsumption. I was actually able to check off the final baby box for overconsumption discourse on Book Talk the other day, like actually maybe yesterday, because of all of what's being discussed about like that big Barnes & Noble after Christmas sale. But one of the times earlier in the year, overconsumption discourse was more closely connected to rants about like people's high reading numbers. Oh, and then the last thing that was checked off on the entire board was Book Talk versus BookTube. This also happened earlier in the year. I also contributed to this one. A really big booktuber made a video talking about Icebreaker and talking about the trend on Book Talk of authors. What was the exact wording? It was like authors masquerading adult smut as children's books. And then she compared the cover to Icebreaker to Charlotte's Web, which don't look like they're in the same age range, which like bothered me. She would have had a much stronger argument if she talked about like comparisons to YA, but whatever. Let's pretend like the cover of Icebreaker looks like it's for 7-year-olds, sure. But also I was like really upset about like the wording of masquerading as if this was like intentionally meant to like sneak porn to children. And then she kept like changing the title of her video to like disparage Book Talk as a whole. And it was like this whole thing where like she had some valid points about this book, but then she would get sidetracked with like some bizarre takes. And then there were all of these like puritanical, like it was a whole thing, like in that comment section and in my comment section. People were accusing me of wanting to give porn to children, making accusations that I'm a sexual predator. Things got really weird really quickly. And those are all the things that I was able to check off. The things that I was not able to check off were, honestly, some of them were pretty disappointing, I'm not gonna lie. I was curious to see if there was any drama that was gonna come out of Set for The People We Meet on Vacation movie adaptation. There's been none so far. I would like to see none come out because I love that book and I'm looking forward to this movie. But I am genuinely very distraught that Adam Driver still has yet to make a public statement about all of the Reylo fanfiction in publishing. There were no new controversial books that were advertised as being for fans of Zutara, which isn't to say that there are no books that feature colonizer and colonized romantic dynamics. There were no new reveals of authors faking their race. Kind of. There's some discourse surrounding an author. I don't even know his name. But apparently there's an indigenous author who was revealed to not be indigenous at all, but it seems like he maybe thought he was. So I don't know. Piper CJ managed to go an entire year without pissing anyone off. And I'm honestly very surprised by that. She usually comes out of the woodwork once or twice a year to like say something ridiculous or to like, or release a new book that pisses people off, and it's a whole thing. I'm also surprised we didn't get any confirmation regarding an AI book from a Big Five publisher, though there was a lot of speculation that Silver Elite was AI written. I'm also very surprised that we didn't get any published or like publishing announcements regarding Marauders fanfiction, given the state of like the Dramini fandom. I really thought Marauders was gonna have a moment, and I do think it will one day, unfortunately. And then we didn't get any updates regarding the Verity movie. We know that Anne Hathaway is gonna be in it, but no discourse or controversies or like anything about it. And that was my 2025 bingo board. Now let's discuss 2026. She has a new color palette. We're gonna carry on in order, right? Starting off strong, Adam Driver, please. I am determined to hear him say something about it and me get to check things off. Because here's the thing, every year without fail, when there is a highly anticipated box that I am like itching to get checked off, we'll go the whole year, nothing. Come like January 3rd, the thing that I wanted to happen happens and it's no longer on my bingo board. I'm working around it because I really want this for myself. Some variation of they'll publish anything directed towards an indie book. I'm telling you, I personally see these comments multiple times a year, every single year, and have been for many years. I hate them so much. This isn't even like anything that needs to be a widespread thing. If I see it in my comment section, it's getting checked off because I deserve some kind of reward for having to put up with it. Next up, everybody get more sapphic now. It is great that Heated Rivalry is having its moment. It's a deserved moment. It's great. I enjoy it very much. But this also means that we are getting more conversation surrounding why we don't have sapphic media counterparts. This is more of a manifestation thing to me. Now, right next to it, I think Erica Kirk is going to get a book deal. And there's a strong likelihood that it's going to be like about her grief journey, even though she is on tour doing photo ops with Pyrotechnics. There's also going to be a new influencer book, either in the form of like an announced book deal or a new influencer book will be published. I also think, next row, Charlie Kirk in fiction, either in a positive or negative way. A lot of people suggested that I put on published plagiarized fanfiction, Neon Rainbow Stack of Doom at the scene of the crime, without fail, like every other month, sometimes multiple months consecutively, like back to back. Someone will go on Book Talk and post like a mind-numbing, absurd, ridiculous hot take, or just do something that pisses people off, and either in the background of that video or in the background of like another video on their page, it will be there. That stack will be there. I'm bringing back the author tantrum box with the 3 baby boxes because I'm always curious to see like what's going on with them. Elitism discourse. My For You page has been showing me a lot of stuff being like anti-brain rot for the new year. And so I think this is going to push for more discourse surrounding like elitism on Book Talk. How dare you judge me for reading whatever. Heated Rivalry fandom discourse. This is already a hot topic and something that's like actively ongoing now. There will absolutely be like a revisiting of something or a new something next year. I think in conversation with like plagiarized fan fiction, there's going to be a lawsuit related to fan fiction. There's a lot of published fan fiction. There's going to be more. I think there's going to be like some sort of legal trouble. The free space is Threads bullshit again, only this time I'm making it slightly more challenging and it requires 3 baby boxes to be checked off for the entire box. Because I'm sorry, being able to check off that box 10 minutes into my new year, that was like, at least make me wait until like the evening of January 1st. You know, the Wuthering Heights film by Emerald Fennell releases in February of 2026. And with its release and with everybody watching it, we are going to reach the final boss of Wuthering Heights adaptation discourse for that film, because I already have my feelings about it. There will also be a book adaptation flop this next year. I don't know which one. There are already rumors regarding like false AI generated identities for authors that I am currently looking into. But I think this will become like more of an issue over time. All for the Game discourse. Okay, All for the Game is a story about a fictional sport that I have not read, but it is something that has been recommended to me for years. It's also just like a really intense fandom, from my understanding. A lot of people, in response to the popularity of Heated Rivalry, have been recommending All for the Game. And people who have read All for the Game have been like, no. And I don't really know what that means. I personally will be getting into All for the Game like this next year, just out of curiosity. But I think a lot of people are going to take that recommendation. It's going to like make things really bad. BookCon is returning in 2026. This was a major book convention that was very beloved in New York for many years that shut down due to COVID. And they announced this past year that they're making their return. And so many people were so excited. I'm expecting some sort of viral moment to come out of BookCon this year, whether that is positive or negative. Now, I did manage to get a ticket. I got a Sunday ticket. If anyone wants to resell their Saturday ticket, let me know. Boots on the ground journalism. America's Next Great Author. This is a reality show that's supposed to be coming out next year on Canopy. It's like Libby, except you can use your library card to like watch movies and stuff. America's Next Great Author is a competition reality show that's going to be coming out where authors and like writers compete for a publishing deal, which is so interesting. I'm really excited for this. Chuck Tingle IRL. This is connected with BookCon and also something I'm manifesting for myself. I've been wanting to see Chuck Tingle in person for like a year or two now. But like his book tours don't come to Houston. Like he just does not come to Houston. But he will be at BookCon. So fingers crossed I can see him in person at like a panel or meet him in person in some way, somehow. I drew a little butt next to Chuck Tingle because that feels right. Book event fail. Because so many happen in a year, there's 3 baby boxes this year. K-pop X Book Talk. With the massive success and popularity of K-pop Demon Hunters, a lot of authors took to social media to talk about writing a K-pop Demon Hunter inspired book. I think we're gonna get more stuff involving like K-pop idols and book talk, books about K-pop idols, maybe a K-pop idol holding up like popular book talk books. I don't know. 6-7 will be referenced in a book, and I don't know what book that will be, and I don't know how that's gonna go. But I can feel it. Someone's going to say something about 6-7 and it will probably, I just know it's going to be like a situation where like maybe there are children present or someone has kids or like whatever. And someone's going to be like, what does 6-7 even mean? And then their love interest will be like, who knows? And like that will be the dialogue and that will be the reference. I can feel it in my spirit. I'm just like unwell about it, but I know it's coming. Reading numbers discourse. I needed to give myself some like easy ones. That's you know how it is. And lastly, the true testament to my manifestation. We are getting a sentient object romance movie, maybe on Tubi. And that is my 2026 bingo board that I will be following along with and will be relying on you guys to tag me in things so I can like be in the know about everything going on. You can either take a screenshot here on the screen, but I will also be posting this to my Instagram, and I most frequently post updates about this board on my TikTok account. So if you want to keep up in whatever way you would like, that's where I'll be in those places for those things. I hope everyone has a good 2026. I'm hoping I have a good 2026, and we'll see what happens.